source. Ed è un po' anche interessante capire come progetti che nascono qui in Italia o in Europa possono collaborare, perché un po' il nostro limite è quello poi di passare dalla prototipazione alla produzione, perché noi siamo ancora in una fase come WeMake in cui qui dentro si prototipa. La parte di generazione e messa in produzione di qualche cosa, la nostra community sta ancora crescendo, diciamo, in pochi sono in grado di fare questo passaggio, ma secondo noi è possibile fare questo passaggio in avanti, e nei prossimi 3-5 anni, secondo me, vedremo questo passo successivo che possiamo fare assieme. Questo è uno dei primi, diciamo, c'è questa occasione. Io quest'anno sono stata a Chengdu quest'estate, che è la sua città natale, nel centro della Cina, dove poi si è spostato a Shenzhen, dove ha creato appunto la sua impresa, che è una zona particolare di produzione di hardware, che è particolare perché ha delle condizioni particolari rispetto a tutto il resto della Cina, dove si possono fare più relazioni con l'estero e con l'Occidente rispetto ad altri posti, altri spazi della Cina. A Chengdu anche lì si è aperto un ufficio di studio, e sarà attivo lo stato in Makerspace, e adesso mi aveva detto che avranno anche un acceleratore in cui far crescere altre imprese, creare una relazione maggiore tra quei maker che sono pro e aziende che vogliono sviluppare nuovi tipi di prodotti. Ed è un po' anche quello che vogliamo fare qua in Italia. Capire, ok, siamo bravi a prototipare, promuove, smanettare.
So I could have to bring some stickers downstairs. Just to have fun. Okay, sure.
Oggi ci sarà una parte di presentazione sua, ma visto che siamo qui, abbiamo cercato di chiamare anche persone che sono nel mondo e che producono e che sono in grado di avere anche un livello molto alto
first time I have to product live cast outside of China.
Ad ascoltare quello che ci raccontano lui, ma cerchiamo di fare anche delle domande o provocare su alcune cose che ci no?
I done this once for Fab Academy, which is very good.
Quindi fate delle domande e poi cerchiamo di instaurare una conversazione. So I said that you're going to present, and then we're going to start a Q&A. And so I asked them to think about questions, and we want this to be a conversation, a community night conversation with you. Okay? So
sure. Okay.
Thank you for being
here. I wish I could understand and speak Italian, but excuse me. And I want to give you a little brief introduction of what we are doing, what's happening meanwhile in Shenzhen, and some of our observations. So feel free to ask any question if you need any information. And of course, after.
Can you hear? Yes, you can move. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So I'm sorry, you can have your seat. I'm talking Torino, so it's really good. This picture is about Shenzhen. How many of you have been to Shenzhen before? Okay, so you are invited for this year's Fair Shenzhen. It's in the middle of November. So we're looking at the maker movement is because of the trend. Oh, I'm sorry, this is in Chinese, but I know what I have to say. So from the jobs to home PC club to 3D printings, a lot of new technology are driven from the age, from the hobbies, because we can do it, we did that. And some of these age experiments become mainstream innovations. And this goes on, we are innovating a lot of things outside of the screen. And it's a lot of things around us still boring, but they're getting more connected with computation powers inside. And this is a lot of these are stories, you know. So like we are wearables, more arts, installations. So we are abusing technology for all kinds of things outside of the computer, which is a good thing. Yes, yes, this is Burning Man. And this, you know, that's in France. And you might not have seen this. This is Shenzhen. This is year 2015, which is the biggest. So this is the biggest Maker Faire until today. It has 190,000 people. It's something like a technology studio where the get out a lot of cross-boundary people, and this people that have around. And it's very supported by the government as well. Government gives some funds, most importantly, we try to work with them. It's really beneficial for community. So we can use a lot of resources. Oh, what's it?
Scegli la particolare area of China to open to make business with the West. Different from the rest of China, right?
Yes, it's true. We just, for example, Shenzhen is the laboratory of it's because in 1980s, China was really open for economic revolutions. So Shenzhen became a pioneer to accept the capitalist investment, where it has a bigger village. So this is like the Wild West. It's nothing for the marketing activities and things accumulated from manufacturing to technology to finance to express. So this is around CEO what's happening. You will see that Mini Maker Center is more of work business. We obviously keep the culture part, but because a lot of people come to Shenzhen to get their ideas manufactured. So we will see people with projects that are more close to finished products. It's quite different. So we see the entropy is from a single devices to more things around us. And the shift is happening because more and more people like you can access technology, and then you are not satisfied with what's existing. You bring mutants, bring derivatives, and a lot of projects are open source. They are like genes can be inherited. We looking forward to see more of these humble innovations to evolve. Some of them will be very potential for next. And we see that, especially in Shenzhen, it was driven by supply chains for big mass productions. But now I think we are coming to a new generation that is more driven by demand chain. If you look at Kickstarter, if you look at social media, a lot of demands are totally scattered. But through this new way of relationship, we can build the product according to the needs. I think that's the magic, it's the beauty of maker movement for the future as well. We will see more and more independent design coming out of the community. They are supported by more open technologies, crowdfundings, free tools, and they will be outreach to customers with social media and get funds through crowdfundings. And in a more philosophical way, it's more like new production relations that can reform. First, it will complete the economy, but it can be providing a new alternative in the future. So this might be too blur, but that's some of the trends we are thinking about. And why Shenzhen matters in the context? Because if you want to make something like a hardware
smart hardware, like this one. And it starts with inside the functions. Of course, so it's also about design, and it's a firmware. It's a user experience, and it has to have guard, the electronic parts, the enclosures, the packaging. So every of these elements is a process of manufacture or designing, which is very difficult to integrate. The magic for Shenzhen is that so many products get manufactured and assembled in Shenzhen that that city is full of all kinds of resources. So that's where people goes to Shenzhen, spend some time to build their stuff. And because of thanks to the economic recess, and a lot of the manufacturing resources are open to smaller teams. And but the level of consolidation is still complex. For a software startup, for app, it's like a band. You have 3 people, it's good to go. But for hardware product, it's like an orchestra. You need to have 10, 20 people to start, because you need to cover from the software, from the website, all the way to engineering, quality, logistics, mechanics. So it's too much hassle to build from the ground. A lot of teams comes to hardware with a band, which causes a lot of disaster of delaying or cancel. So that's in this context we came into being. For Seed, our mission is want to grow the difference, more differentiating ideas into products. This is Shenzhen in 1980s. Before 30 years ago. And it has been through a lot of migration of manufacturing from Hong Kong to Shenzhen. And it's become the pioneer of Shenzhen, of China, that enforces a lot of about efficiency. So it's now Shenzhen, after 37 years, becoming the capital of technology in China. And it's getting more and more expensive as well. Yeah. And this was Seed in 2008. I'm behind the camera. But that's where we started. We just went to there. I went there alone and invited my co-founder Albert to join. And with 2 people in a very shabby place. We don't have Makerspace by that time, so it's just we were in an apartment. And this is our headquarters, this manufacturing warehouse, everything. So what this guy is doing is to packing, to ship from Shenzhen to somewhere. So it was very humble start with no investment. And this is where I went every day, to the market. So this is called Huaqiangbei. It's like it's the big bazaar of electronics. So the difference is that behind the counters, there's little small counters, it might be a factory. So you can go there to buy existing components, but you can also ask them to customize for you. It's open, it has working hours. It's not 24 hours.
No.
It's a fixed.
It's a growing one fair. It's like a fish market. So
yes.
From 8 a.m. or
9 to 6.
9 to 6.
Yeah.
9 to 9.
Yeah. It's a fish market for electronics.
Yeah.
You can go there as a restaurant to order in bulk, but you can be an individual to go there. I want to try some new dishes. Yeah. So if you go there, you look at the ingredients and think what you can make out of that. And I went there. I was double E, electronic engineering. I went there like 90% of the components I don't recognize, which made me totally shocking. So I spent like 3 months go there every day to look at every floor, every booth, to understand what's that. And we selected some of them to put on to a website called SeeedStudio.com. That's where we started. And because Shenzhen is very convenient in logistics, we get something here, pack, and we can ship to every corner of the world, except Somalia and North Korea. And we see that the technology is becoming simpler and simpler. And thanks to things like Arduino, I can't know what's going on. And we see the technology is going towards like element. It's no different than a button in your clothes or the zippers. And you don't need to understand the depths of that, but you can use it with your competencies. What's happening here? So that's, as following this concept, we developing the reform, which we have right here. And before we see a lot of modules, they are like 0.1. You need to do a lot of work around that, software mechanics. But we want to do something is very close to product. It's 0.9. We imagine that in the near future, or starting from now, you want to make something. It's like DIY computer. You just choose controller, sensors, actuators, enclosure. That's good to go. And we think for the bands, for smaller teams, open hardware is the key, where you can choose the main popular boards, use modules as a community to put them together. And this is our perception to the world. There are so many people with ideas, but before they take into action, they are dreamers. And they go from 0 to 0.1. That's where we are, makers. We make them possible by the proof of concept. But it's still a long way to go up to engineering samples, which can be manufactured. Then it goes down to 100 to 1,000 pieces that you manufacture in small batches to try the market, or to raise funds, or just do us indie product and sell that for a long time. But there are some lucky ones goes on to 10,000 pieces. They become the hardware corporations. They raise funds and to serve us the market and watch that market grow. So for Seed, we want to become the lender for more ideas, goes all the way up to products. And we are now more focusing on people in the middle. We call them maker pro. Maker pro are people making for someone else, not as a hobby for themselves. We see that in the future, the maker movement will be more meaningful if we becoming the technologist to help traditional business. It's not easy, but I think that that's happening. And we are positioning Seed like this way. After like 5 years of the very beginning, I finally figured out why there are 3 E's in SeeedStudio. It's prototype, produce, and promote. The 3 words end with E. So we provide a lot of open source modules, like over 1,400 of them. We also help a lot of people to produce their products. We have over 8,000 PCBA made every month from all over the world. So we see the great potential and the power from the makers. And we help them to promote it to the industries. So here are some simple factors. We were too lonely in Shenzhen, so we started to build the ecosystem as well, like what we did here.
Lonely in Shenzhen.
Yeah.
How many people?
Sorry? In Shenzhen, it's about 10 million. It's very high density. There are so many engineers and workers, technicians, but they don't talk much with each other. They don't have a community to share and collaborate. So that's where we created the first makerspace called Chaihuo in 2012. Chaihuo is a Chinese character. It means like firewood, a pile of firewood. Everybody's doing some wood to burn it higher. It's a Chinese analog. So this is a very typical thing. I think very typical to hear with people of different background, genders, different skill sets and hopes. And we did the first Maker Faire in Shenzhen in 2012 as well. We didn't know. Yeah,
Yes.
2012. Yeah, it's a sequence of being too lonely as well. But we feel totally excited, and we out of nowhere we say, okay, let's just do a Maker Faire. And we are not a Maker Faire company, but we tried that. It totally exceeds our expectation. We have about half a team from international, from Japan, from Taiwan, from all over the world. And we have like 60 booths, 62 teams, over 1,000 visitors for the first year. And we also co-founded the first hardware incubator called Hacks. They were doing software incubation before. And they come to us and say, why don't we do a hardware incubator? I said, okay, we have a free space inside our office. That's where Hacks happened. It's becoming a very important window to startups wants to come to Shenzhen to get their ideas made. But now we are exiting from Hacks because we are serving incubators all over the world. And if you look at the map of Shenzhen, if you try to Google manufacturer, and it's in Shenzhen, there are all the red dots. They're about manufacturing. So it's a half an hour drive, then you can get all things made. This is to answer your question why Shenzhen is special. It's a cluster of manufacturers.
Concentration.
Sorry?
The concentration.
Yes. And maybe it could be similar like Florence hundreds of years ago. You go there, you have all the craftsmen around you. So you have an idea, you can get it made, branded. And we make a map for makers in Shenzhen. Yeah, and we are going to revitalize that. This story goes on. We were not lonely anymore. This is the Premier Minister of China came to the Makerspace in 2015. So which totally drove us crazy, turning the Makerspace into a zoo. There's too many ways. It's like 10 batch of visitors every day, and we have 60,000 visitors. 60,000 visitors for you. So we secretly create a new place called X Factory. That place is for tourists, but we have a more ready to use Makerspace. So after that, they put into the work of governments, and then it turns into a huge movement.
Wow.
This is the number of Maker Faire, and there are Makerspace all over the country. We literally have more Makerspace than makers. And so we start to make this empty Makerspace into use. It's for education first. Yeah. I think that's the most duplicable, very easy to scale. Because no matter what kind of industry, what kind of makers are there are always people wants to explore our technology. So we introduce Makerspace into schools. We have hundreds of schools with the Makerspace now. And we are also thinking, sorry, today is too much because we are trying to make things all together. We are thinking that even since there are so many manufacturing resources, they need to be integrated. We need to provide a better interface. So that's where we build the X Factory. It's an open factory. It's similar to a Makerspace like this, but more ready for real manufacture, more ready to as an interface for industries. So for the first X Factory, it's about architecture. In Chengdu, we are going to have one for entertainment and art. So we are on the one end, we are bringing the industries to look at the maker movement. I was just saying during coffee that in China, there's so many very strong companies. They have been copying from Italian companies. For many years, they grow big, and then look around, there's no people to learn from. So they are worried that what I should do next? What are the innovations from? So I think the Makerspace all over the world could be a window for them to really look at new potential potentials. If it's a micro oven company wants to have AI, wants to have voice interactions, it's very difficult for them to find the right person. But places like WeMake can provide some user experience consultancy to them. So that
In Shenzhen, there are only Chinese companies, or also some.
there are like Fortune 500 companies there as well. Like GE come to us, wants to do some consultancy. There is Hire who just bought GE. There is also all the big companies are sitting there, headquarters there. Even Apple has their place. So it's not a new place anymore. It's become too expensive. But the good thing is that still have a lot of people with enough budget but without innovation. So we need to give them a window. And also it's a window to the global makers that we're inviting the maker proof from all over the world, including you, to Shenzhen on a few contexts. For this first batch in Shenzhen, we are talking a lot about architectures because we work closely with some real estate company. So they want to be differentiating. They want to have new technology inside their newly built houses, but they don't know who to talk to. So we need people from all kinds of
to design and produce.
Exactly, it's on a reverse way. So before the makers has been doing too many products, but without the support from the supply chain. What if we can just work with those dinosaurs who don't know what to do next, and to infuse them with new ideas, and they can support that with supply chain, distribution channels, finance. Why don't we should do it alone? We should collaborate with traditional industries. So that's why we want to create in X Factory as an interface. That place can actually manufacture things, but it can also start the conversations. So we also to support it with technicians. This is one thing different in China. In Shenzhen especially, we have a lot of technicians who are veteran experts in manufacturing. It's not like tech shop that you need to learn how to use a machine. You need to pay expensive money to train yourself. But in Shenzhen, what we want to enable is you just go there, I want to manufacture this, and you pay by hour or minutes. That's it. You can focus on what you are really good at. So we're thinking it's new production relations. And we are still in a beta, hopefully to open during Maker Faire Shenzhen as a formal presence. And we also have a small academy inside. You see a lot of sessions is teaching people how to do prototyping, but there's no place teaching people how to do manufacturing. You need to understand the restraints. You need to balance between cost, quality, and delivery time. So that's where we want to create this place. And there are going to be more X Factory around China. So this year we might open the second one in Chengdu, but more in Suzhou, in Dongguan. There always there's going to be some context that fits into like fashion, into different things. So we come to X Factory, and this is some brief introduction and questions.
Cool. Wow.
So this might be too much because we're not a company too focused on what we should do. we have been exploring too much.
So you are moving from like manufacturing open hardware into enabling a scene to become productive.
Exactly. So
and X Factory are like a mixture between like a makerspace and an accelerator.
It's not an accelerator because we don't invest,
Okay.
and we don't hope you to become huge.
Okay.
We hope that you can focus on what you are good at.
Okay.
So it's like a factory, a makerspace. It's also a place like this people can communicate to understand the boundaries of each other.
I think this is one thing that we are, of course, totally missing here in Italy. because you have the big manufacturer and the Makerspace, which is a bit in the middle. So for example, if I want to manufacture something, I can come, and for example, I want to make 1,000 pieces. Maybe I go there and then we test it, it works.
Yeah.
I don't need to make, because I cannot make a hardware startup, and I cannot maybe go to the big ones, so maybe it's something in the middle.
Yeah.
In the middle between Makerspace and the two factories.
Yeah, because most of the factory, they're closed.
Yeah.
They don't want to invite visitors. They don't want unrelated customers. They might be working for one company and manufacture forever. So that's where we want to open up the factories. It's we want X factory to become an interface to local supply chains. So we are also inviting people, the factories, to present there. So they have in X factory we have different machineries. These equipments are the same as mass production. So whenever you prototype there, okay, this all parametrics are set. So the factory with larger capacities can just copy the setup and manufacturing in large volume for the needs. So that's what we are trying to do.
Yeah, so I think this also fills the gap where you were telling before that maybe some Kickstarter failed because you have in software maybe you are good and in hardware you are not good.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Kickstarter that failed, and in this case, if you have an idea maybe it goes well in Kickstarter, you can go in this type of environment, for production, because you have a background in manufacturing.
So I think the model with Kickstarter is always risky, because you don't know what's going to meet along the journey, and even some early promises. So I think the more ideal way is don't go large. Don't say 1,000 pieces. You can start from 100. Why not? Because a lot of Kickstarters want to improve that the market, so they collect as many pieces as possible, like 60,000, and it's a nightmare, because for each of the stage it's a new iteration. The process you manufacture for 100 pieces is totally different from the process you manufacture for 10,000 pieces. So for each of the iteration, it's not growing, it's a reverse for bigger ones with a different team. So a lot of people underestimate the difficulties of that. It's very easy, you can make something out, but how do you manufacture in 10,000 pieces? Still keep the consistency, to keep the supply chains ready for you, deliver the right component and right time. So it's a very complex issue to look at. We have been suffering a lot with different makers. So we want to standardize the process and make it simple. The good way is you look at what's existing to design from manufacturer. So I know there's so many good designers in Italy. You know the customers, you have very professional ways doing that, but there is a gap after the design. Are you using the right material? Is easily approachable? So it's not hurting to look at what's already out there, reuse what they have. So that's why we had a raffle. Thank you for having that on the table. So this is used to be the chipsets for our mobile. We choose this because we are thinking there are already so many features for out there to the whole Africa with very affordable price. Why don't we reuse that for IoT, for wearables? So that's where we did this module. But the thing is, it has been stopped. This chipsets provider has stopped the support to it, and we have to. A lot of projects like this has to be rebuilt on new solutions. So it's never easy, but it has. I think it's very similar to the beginning of internet. That you build your homepage out of hobby, like what you're building today. But it's not easy to build anything. Sorry?
You have experience for the makers to grow.
Yeah, we hope we have some experience because maker always trying to do something different.
And because the devil is in I want to dig a little bit more on this, let's say, implementation, because of course, so also around Milano, for example, there are some industries, let's say, kitchen or furniture or industrial machines. There are some districts that are very still able to deliver complex projects and products. So we can see in a different way also this, let's say, gap in between the creative industries that learn on the internet, let's say, and the real industries that are more close circle and more close knowledge and so on and so forth. So this Makerspace here demonstrates like co-working spaces and all the other apps that let's say mixing together people is good, is better than before, and some values can be created. But as you said before, so these places can be very good to learn how to prototype. They have to become very good to learn how to manufacture, or at least how to understand how a manufacturing project, how manufacturing process is to be designed, and what are the relations between manufacturing process and the product. And this is, to me, is the focus, and of course the question is how. So demonstrators, so showing off technologies is part of the receipt. Okay. But so what are for you implementing designing X Factory the most three important things that X Factory needs to have in order to be successful teaching manufacturing or giving
I think X Factory or Seed trying to resolve the how issues is how to get IT using products. But how is driven by why. It's what I'm making for. Who are you building it for? So if there is a very strong why, you can resolve all the how issues. But it's like if we can prepare beforehand, like people come to X Factory, people like to do some furnitures. So we prepare all the necessary Makerspace as the experts of our manufacturer. We prepare all the machineries that fit into the designer's manufacturer's needs. So this kind of preparation can help the process. My most important thing is what we're building for, who we are building for. That kind of economic drive will make the process much easier. But if we focus on the process itself, it's endless. You will end up trying everything, but you don't know where it goes. So I think for us, no matter it's for Shenzhen or for our Makerspaces, we are thinking, we are worrying and we are depressed sometimes. Is how do we make the community more prosper? I think one drive is it's very similar to internet again. That in the beginning it's like homebrew PC club. It's a small community. It's not that powerful. But as long as computers start to serve the economy bigger than before, anything happening, the whole group is car, they become very powerful. Like the computers, the operating systems, everything around the IT business. So I think we are in the middle of the transition. Of course, the process should be simpler and more smooth, but we also need to link the maker pros with the industries to drive more cross-boundary innovations to happen.
No, vediamo se ci sono altre domande di questo.
Faccio una linea di sviluppo.
Il tecnico, vai.
Iniziare un attimo la cosa. So we learned a lot about from software. So decentralization production of software is very powerful because all the information is shared in a bucket. You can read it, you can learn from it. In manufacturing and in real life is not so easy to transfer and to write down an experience. Do you think that is there a killer application? Is there a killer process that can scale up this knowledge transfer? So it's very hard to replicate the glass blowing from Venice, the traditional craftsmanship, because was purposely taken secret. Now there are some startups, for example, WeMake or Wikifactory, that are trying all to expose the process of manufacturing. Do you think that this, let's say, formalization of the processes can be the leverage to push on?
Exactly. I think there are two segments. For the first segment, you already have in the shelf. It's digitalization. It used to be like craft work. And now you use robot arms to replace the process. Use CNC and party to do that. So for the manufacturing of single piece, it has been much easier than before through digitalization. Then the second process is for the formation integration. So if you look, this West is simple, but if you want to manufacture this, you're actually consolidating so many things altogether. There is a little of formatting the whole process from the components you choose, the process you use. They from bio materials of all the testing tools.
The provision.
Sure.
The provision of the material.
The supply chain.
Yes. So all of these, I think, open hardware itself, they help to regulating the information. But for now, the open hardware is just half of open.
Yeah.
The schematic is open. The carbon price might be open. The bio materials might be open. But how about the testing? How about penalization? How about the supply chains organization? Yes, quality assurance is how do you design for testing? Yeah. How do you make sure you have the SOP to manufacture?
So there are still many things to be open.
Exactly. So the most popular open source technology is not open. It's not fully open yet.
Yeah.
So that's what we have been proposing in Open Hardware Summit, that we should have the second part open. How do you reproduce the open designs for 10,000 times? It's a different level of complexity. And then through X Factory, if any of you wants to go to Shenzhen, we want more help to open up the processes. So we first record it, share it, then we have a way to simplify it.
It's very cool. So another question topic that I want to speculate with you is that there seems to be these two polarization, you know. Globalization means that you can design something in California and you produce in Shenzhen and then you import back to consume in California or in Italy. And then there are these, let's say, hipster economy to create, consume and circular economy or very local manufacturing. But we can see and we experience the fact that there are no two polarization, meaning that we leverage on the globalization as well as in local design, so design for local people. Do you see it, and how do you see from your point of view that that is the manufacturing of the world? Can you see this this shift, not only in your economy, because you were already saying that,
yeah.
So but all over the world?
I think both are right. And for one single product, it can actually consist of both. For example, of the materials, they might be coming from one single place. For manufacturer, it's a series of manufacturers combined. So if you look at the things we made here, all the wood, they might be coming from one single place because you need to grow the forest and store it. But for the manufacturing, according to the needs, it's happening right here. So I think in the future it's going to be both that the core technology, the core modules. You don't want to decentralize the manufacture of chipsets, right? Because it don't make economic sense, and it's so easy to ship around the world. It's simple and light. But for the product level, whenever you actually apply it according to the needs, you don't want to. For now, we're still shipping furniture all over the world, which is a waste of everything. But if we just ship the core materials and we reuse the material according to the needs, it's much more economic. So it's the same thing for beer. The same thing for restaurants. So it's no need to manufacture everything to grow to feed the cows to make a steak. But you don't want to eat the packed industrial food. So I think it's a balance in the future. And spaces like Makerspace is enabling more localized manufacturing on the application layer. So that's why I was asking this question.
Yes, of course.
And you can do it in a different scale. It can have a center in each city. It can be a center in each district, which will be already done. It's a very beginning. It's like printers. We used to have one printer in the city or in the district. Then we have printers all over in the offices, houses. It's because the city has been simplified. But you don't want to make the printers in everywhere. So this might be too a metaphor, but I think I try to explain it.
Massimo. Massimo Bianchini from Politecnico di Milano.
Yeah.
You are also considering the next scenario of moving from a human perspective to a post-human perspective, where there will be some production of hardware for electronics that start to move from digitization of the bodies and so on and so on. You are starting to explore these opportunities for the future, or now you are also focused on the development of hardware in terms of open and distributed production model.
Exactly. So there are two verticals bothering us. One is as a Maker movement has made a very good point of decentralized innovation manufacturing. But there is another trend. Is a new technology is revitalizing the whole thing, like once per month or once per year. So last year we might be talking about IoT. Next year we are talking about AI. Then we are talking about wearables. So on each of the stages there will be some new technology we want to use in every product. So for now the coffee machine is still a lot of buttons, but maybe I want to have to speak to it. I have a perfect coffee for myself. So I think this kind of technology is driving the passion of people, and there might be different sequences. There might be good and bad ones, but I think for us it's very simple. Is we keep looking at latest technology, take it and formalize it, standardize it, and open it to the ecosystem. Did I answer your question? It's not specifically because we are not doing the cyber enhancement, cyber yet. But I think that's a trend. I think we are already cyber because of this. It's a big enhancement, and we are enchanting things around us with more technology. We are the magician of the world of this generation.
Yeah, cyborg. Your device is not separated by your device.
Yeah.
It's continuously used.
Yeah.
It's not integrated. But it's the idea that you are looking at probably the next hour as electronic to digitize everything.
Yeah.
You can digitize everything.
But I actually have a high concern about that because digitalization.
Elon Musk. You're concerned about AI.
No, I don't like that. Of course, we should have consideration about AI. But I think the thing is digitalizing everything is from the perspective of technologists or makers. We see the possibility of doing so. So we're advocating for that. But do the economy, do the user really need that? I think that's the gap for a lot of IoT bars. We made something we think, oh, this is cool. But the customer don't understand what's the benefit for that. So we have so many connected things which is making very little progress. So I agree with what you said, but I think that thing has. But in Shenzhen, we're thinking that way too much. We're too far away from humanity. We're too close to technology. But I think in Milano, there's so many good design minds that you know how to really answer questions from the people. So that's where we see this strong complementary between Shenzhen and Milan.
But I've been wax factory and it's very cool place. It's because you see, I have the impression that a lot of art and design, I saw many projects of interactive installation and the atmosphere is very, it's maker, but there's also other things that you can see there. It's not super deep. So I like this thing a lot. And so I'm a very practical question. It's like, when makers, do you as in the next factory, is like a way for makers to connect to factories for scaling up the production if they have a good project, but they communicate just with because you see or like this network of other factories they can have access to. Because you also work to, you do kind of lobby or try to do other factories.
Yeah. So I suppose you can see SeeedStudio as one of the suppliers. And for laser cutting, actually it's a laser cutting company sponsored us a laser cutting machine. So you can manufacture them for 1 piece or 10 pieces. If you need volume, you can just call this guy. Can manufacture 1,000 pieces for me. How much would it be? And there's no need for lawyers. And just say, okay, deliver.
For the publication, for the electronics, there is always
it's not always. So it's like optional. Because we are looking at extraction needs every day. So we try to cater to their services. But there's no way we can refrain members by our services.
And all this interesting that you are bringing like cultural, like making culture into the manufacturing of electronics. That's my point. When you talk about culture, you're talking about values, processes, and we know that like in Japan or China in general have a different way of approaching the creation of derivatives, right? Everyone taking copy and this kind of thing. So what we do like in everyday management of the space in order to teach people the use of open hardware in terms of licenses, of sharing the documentation, we do specific activities that allow to replace this open culture around the makerspace.
Yeah, the best answer would be go check out extractory.io. We're trying to list more content onto that. It's not that organized yet. We're trying all the ways, but in the future you can see from this side. Oops. So we're trying to have a academy here. So we want to formalize the necessary courses. So there might be needs for like open license, a lot more. So we want to start with a more Wikipedia way. So people contribute to lessons. We'll see who are interested in what, and try to come up with a library of classes. But we will, of course, the main STEM classes will be prepared. And how to design PCB, how to prepare for assembly.
Okay. Also, like in the academy, also there are just the most content and guidelines only for like manufacturing, or you try to also, I don't know, stimulate a kind of also support the makers in terms of business development, like a business modeling, for example. You say, okay, you don't have to do 10,000 pieces, or you know,
we don't refuse that. We might not be doing a lot about how to do marketing branding, which is not good. We see not that much in the contest. But I think the goal is because we are not incubator. The goal is to grow more makers into maker pros through academy. So we imagine that this place is full of freelancers, make masters. So each of the people makers you in this room, you have your background, you have your skill sets. You can work together according to some projects. But you might need to level up your skills under for electronics. You might learn from someone. You can invite people to give out the lessons. So I don't have a very structured demonstration for that. But you will see that in the website sooner.
Is it already open, or when is it opening?
So it's now in beta stage.
Okay.
So whenever you are in contact with some way, you can go there.
Okay.
And then we also hold some sessions like this, so people can start conversation.
I don't know if you wanna go more techy or not. It's good to have. So.
Altre domande? Milioni.
So in terms of new technology, what you see, for example, in terms of gadgetry that are in the post-human blah blah. Me, one of the interesting things is, for example, brain stimulation to enhance your focus or stimulus or something like that. Do you see some new topic that will pop up soon?
We don't. I'll say drive the topics, follow the topics. So for now, AI is big words. Yeah. But how do you do AI? How do you teach people to use AI? How do you use AI in voice, in data visualization, in computer vision? So we are trying to have more gadgets to support that kind of go-digging wave.
You already have some?
We have a real speaker, which is for voice interactions, and we are trying to add more like libraries inside to support. So you will see next week Microsoft will allow EOL which is like for words, things like that. It's not that AI. It's not that AI that automatically work, but it's some little AI in your device or in the gadgets that can learn something. You can train it for. So, and we're also preparing to have computer vision for students. So you can just train that thing to recognize your face. And for voice as well, you can train that thing to understand your voice authentications. So this is something we are trying according to people's attentions. And also for IoT, it's becoming from a buzzword to more practical vertical markets. It's not Internet of Homes yet, but it's Internet of Cows, Internet of Machines. And we look at this trend and see what kind of technology we might be using. What would be the best option inside of this technology? So you can also LoRa, DLT, Sigfox, sensors of all kinds, computations like even FPGA. So that's SeeD has been doing.
So thanks a lot for this deep conversation. So we have some beer, so stay around for some chit chat. Eric will bring some stickers and enjoy.